Welcome back. You're watching the Global Dialogue. We're in conversation with the global CEO of NetApp, and we're talking about India and the road ahead. I want to understand from you, how do you look at the startup ecosystem in India, in terms of partnerships, collaborations, possible acquisitions as well? You've done a slew of acquisitions. I think it's about 22, if I'm correct. Right. So is that potentially an area that you will look at in the future here in India?
Certainly, India, Israel, and the US are our largest development centers. There's amazing, technical capabilities, business creation capabilities here. We have been supporting what we call an accelerator program with no strings attached. It's just out of the, wanting to be able to. No, there are no strings actually in our program. We've had it since 2017. We've brought 72 companies through the program, and we do that not because we want to acquire them or because they are required to use any of our technology. We do that to give back to the startup ecosystem of which we were once a part. We do that because it helps us learn from them about all the challenges that smaller businesses have, and conversely, it also helps our employees learn to teach and mentor. We've been proud, especially of the fact that we've had a significant number of women-led startups, and in the next cohort, almost all of the startups that are in the program that will be starting up shortly will be female-led.
That is wonderful to hear, because that's not a usual story, and especially not as far as technology is concerned. Is that conscious? Was that deliberate? How did that come about?
It's part of our values, and part of it has been to work extra hard to bring people in, and our female employees have been a big part of that, and I'm excited to see that come to life.
You talked about agility and nimbleness and the ability to sort of move between trends and bring in a sense of dynamism into decision making. How has it changed for you as a leader over the years? What have you had to unpack in your own style, in your own approach to the way that you ran the business 5 years ago versus today?
I think the most important is to build strong teams, move decision-making closer to the front lines so that you can get local market intelligence and move at speed. I think COVID taught us an incredibly large number of lessons. I think early in the COVID pandemic, one of the things that we needed to do was to allow different parts of the world to operate differently, because we had to comply with different health regulations.
Yeah.
And so we took all approval authority and moved it down 2 or 3 levels to allow, more of our team to make decisions. And
but is it now there? Has it changed permanently?
We've kept it down there for the most part, yep. So that, because we saw good decisions being made, and it allowed us to respond really quickly to what was needed in different parts of the world.
So that's an interesting aspect, because, while a lot of people talk about this aspect of what is called as globalization, sort of, operating at a global level, but also localizing your offering to suit the needs of your customers in a specific market. What's been the challenge of being able to do that? What has been the success of being able to do that, especially here in a market like India?
I think you've got to keep the right balance of having things that scale, because those bring economic benefits, but also not keeping it so monolithic that it doesn't feel like it's a local offering. So we work with different partners around the world. We work with different ecosystems around the world. And the second thing that, from an executive decision-making capabilities, you've got to teach the team to not go for every trend. You've got to be wise in which trends you pick. And we've been fortunate that we've made good decisions on that.
So what is the aspiration now? A 30-year history behind you, a slew of partnerships. You have, as you said, decided to focus on 3 key trends. What's the aspiration? What's the 5-year roadmap? We talked about what's happening over the next few quarters, but what's the 5-year aspiration for you?
We'd like to grow the business, in double digits every year. And, at some point we want to hit 10 billion in revenue. I think an increasing part of that becomes software and cloud services. So if you've seen our business model, we've improved operating margins dramatically over the last few years as we've shifted the business much more towards software and cloud services. And so that's really the goal.
Is there potential to do that even more? Because you have seen a significant improvement on your gross margins already, and large part of that is because of the kind of cost controls that you've been able to bring in. Is there room to be able to do better on this?
I think the business mix will continue to shift towards more software and sort of higher margin products as customers want those much more efficient, environments in their infrastructures. And so there's a natural cadence at which it goes. You're always trying to balance how much growth you want to drive and how much margins you want to deliver. And so that's an ongoing, balance.
Yes, the pulls and pressures that you have to deal with every quarter. But I also want to ask you about what we're seeing happen globally at this point in time with, countries moving towards now setting up their own chip manufacturing, whether it's in the US or here in India. You talk about the excruciating pain of supply chain disruptions that we saw specifically on the chip side through COVID. How do you read these changes and the implications and the impact they could potentially have?
I think they've, impacted two large trends that were quite common for many years. One was to run your business with as lean inventory as possible. Those rules are out. And the second was to centralize all of your manufacturing so that you could bring the entire system together in one location. I think both those rules have, moved on. I think the third thing that we've done in our technology design is to make our systems look much more like Lego blocks.
Okay.
So that you can, if you're short of one piece of technology, you can get another one and slot it in and keep your system moving. I think by using industry standard technology, that's been one of our claims to fame. We use the world's most standard technologies, but use our software to make them highly differentiated. We're able to access and build flexible supply chains in different parts of the world.
That is interesting. And do you see more companies now being forced in a way to move to that?
I think certainly after COVID, we've seen, I'm part of several CEO roundtables in North America. There's certainly a much more deeper understanding of the implications of manufacturing, supply chain, sourcing than they used to be. And so I think there's more people thinking exactly along the lines of what I shared.
So outside of manufacturing, supply chain, and sourcing, what else are the CEOs on the tech roundtable talking about today? Is it the Musk versus Zuckerberg battle? What is occupying mind space?
I think there's always the new opportunities. I think AI is certainly an important part of that. And I also think that everyone's concerned about an increasingly bi- or tripolar world, which would not be healthy for any major accomplishment that the world needs to get to, whether it's climate change, whether it's building global business systems that are integrated, whether it is trying to harmonize regulations. That's probably one of the biggest concerns that all tech leaders worry about.
I'm going to take a break from business and talk to you about something which I find absolutely fascinating. I don't know how many people know, but he has a twin brother who is also in the tech business and runs Google Cloud. I mean, how often do people confuse the two of you?
Quite often, actually.
Yeah.
On my flight here.
Do you pretend that, do you pretend to be either... Do you have like a way that you sort of deal with this?
I'm usually honest and just say, listen, I'm not Thomas, but I'm his twin, and most people are astonished about that. Yeah.
But, so what's growing up, what was that like? I mean, how much of it was just both of you feeding off of each other's interests and passions and then landing up in pretty much sort of similar situations?
I think it was more circumstance than design that got us to being where we are. I think we were fortunate to have amazing parents, amazing brothers, teachers that kind of helped and mentored us. And I think that's been the biggest part of the blessings we've received in our lives.
Well, before I let you go, you're here in India. You're going to be visiting Bombay, Bengaluru, as well, Mumbai and Bengaluru as well, as you take stock of your operations here. You talked about significant growth opportunities here in India, but if there's like the single mandate that you're going to be setting for the India team, what is it going to be?
Win new customers and grow our business in the areas that customers are looking to accelerate their business success. Data, cloud, and AI.
Data, cloud, and AI. George, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Global Dialogue. Appreciate your time, and we wish you the very best of luck with your trip here in India.
Thank you so much.
That's it on this edition of the Global Dialogue. From all of us here on the team, goodbye, and many thanks for watching.